Mushfiqul Fazal Ansari, thank you so much for joining in on CNN News 18. First, let's begin with the ground situation where reports and visuals of the Consul General's office in New York show the protesters storming in and unceremoniously removing the portrait of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. What's the sentiment in the United States towards the regime change in Dhaka?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw the same as you saw because it's a consulate in New York, but I am telling about the Washington, the main embassy, and the ambassadors, what he did. He himself removed the photograph, and he said that, and he offered everybody in the conference room, we have a community meeting, like, those who are not able to even get into the embassy. As personally, I'm also not welcome in the embassy. Sometimes I fear I can be a Jamal Khashoggi if I go to the embassy. But today I feel so glad that ambassador himself invited us. He offered, drinks and everything. So in New York, yeah, I have seen that the people went to and they removed the photograph in your tweet, because as I said, the people are very much angry because if you anything imposed to the people, it cannot get a good result. This is the result in Bangladesh. The people are destroying the statue and the photos, if we can see. But obviously the US is not is obviously it's the US territory, and US the US is protecting the embassy premises and the consulate, and it's unexpectable if anyone try to damage any property. It's also Bangladeshi property, so it not be, and obviously the US is protecting these premises, so it's unexpected.
Now, the United States was protecting the premises of the Office of Consul General in New York. How were protesters even allowed to storm in, raising questions of US protection to such violent protesters?
Yeah, as you said, the US position is very clear, and US is very critical on Sheikh Hasina's regime from the very beginning. As we about 3 elections dropped out from Bangladesh, people cannot, the people were not able to select their representative. So, and if you go back, they impose visa restriction. The US Secretary of State said that whole world is watching Bangladesh election just before the sham election what we had in January 7. And the today he expressed his concern, and he said, as I asked the question after the short statement, if you can see, to the spokesperson, and whether they are supporting, they said yes, we are supporting, and we hope their transition will be transition will be held in a peaceful manner, and the government will be an interim government will be formed with the democratic principles, with the basis of the democratic principles, rule of law, and the will of the people. So people so that people can reflect the people voice or people will. So he mentioned that, and he also, I asked that whether US will allow Sheikh Hasina, if she wants to come to the USA, because we know, everybody knows it, she commit crime against humanity. He left the country with hundreds and thousands students and general public killed by her, as she ordered the shoot on sight, and people killed, and just she flew and she basically tried to create a civil unrest, because she invited her party workers just 2 days before to treat them, the student, to encounter them in a befitting manner. So she invited her students suing and all this, and she created this chaotic situation so that she can portray it everywhere that, oh, Bangladesh is a chaotic situation and this kind of things happening. So she played the last card, and then she flew to India, and people, we value the people to people contact. I should admire, India should not take this responsibility, as India is doing for a long time. They are doing just maintaining relationship with a particular individual.
Mr. Ansari, how do you assess prospects of Sheikh Hasina gaining political asylum in the UK? The UK Home Department has responded saying that those who need political asylum should do so in the first safe country they reach. That technically means India. What are you learning about her chances of receiving any kind of political asylum in the UK?
I heard that, and from the many international media, including the Indian media, she will not be able to get the asylum in UK. Obviously, UK is the protector of the human rights, and they value the fundamental rights. And Sheikh Hasina, who's the person who destroyed everything in her country, and she's a corrupt and criminal leader. So UK and any sensible government cannot accept this kind of brutal leader in their own soil. So I hope and believe India will not do that.
Mr. Ansari, Sheikh Hasina has been a trusted partner to India. She's also viewed as a pro democracy leader who perhaps may have turned to authoritarianism now. But how challenging will it be for India to host Hasina?
Yeah, it's a big challenge for India, and because the last two, as you say, the democratic, when Bangladesh returned to democracy in 1991 after falling of the General Ershad, and there was a democratic practice, and one party is in power like BNP. The next year, Awami League, they came to power, and Sheikh Hasina was prime minister in 1996, elected by the people. But when in 2009, the whole scenario has changed, and the Indian establishment involvement. Obviously, I will admire the Indian people, Indian civil society, and the protesters who expressed solidarity with the Bangladeshi student protest during the, when the students were in the street. So I should admire their courage and their support. And by saying that, as you asked, that India only maintaining relationship with a particular individual, Sheikh Hasina. So India should come up, and the Indian establishment should re-evaluate the thing as a big neighbor and as a democratic country.
My last question, Mr. Ansari, does India risk China and Pakistan exploiting the situation in Dhaka if India does not engage with the new regime in Bangladesh?
I don't know what India will do, but as a journalist and analyst, I should say India should involve, to maintain relationship, whoever government is in Bangladesh, but with the democratic government. But previous government obviously was not democratic government, and there will be a transition. There will be interim government. So obviously, I think India should maintain their relationship with Bangladesh as a neighboring country.
Many thanks to you, Mr. Ansari, for sharing in your precious insights with us here at CNN News 18.